Have you ever felt something was off with a woman you were dating, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it? She wasn't cruel. She wasn't intentionally manipulative. She smiled, laughed, and seemed perfectly charming on the surface. Yet something about the way she made decisions, the way she spoke, even the way she reacted to simple situations made you question whether logic or wisdom had any place in her world. Maybe it was the little things, a casual exaggeration that didn't make sense, a contradiction in her words, or a choice that left you bewildered. Maybe you found yourself explaining things again and again, hoping she'd understand, only to realize she never really did. That's the kind of invisible foolishness I'm talking about. Subtle, quiet, but profoundly destructive. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you miss it early, it can quietly drain your energy, your focus, and your emotional stability. It's not about looks. It's not about charm, money, or social media popularity. None of those things can make up for a lack of clarity, discernment, and self-control. Foolishness is far subtler. It creeps in disguised as confidence, independence, or passion, but in reality it's the invisible force that sabotages relationships before they even have a chance to grow. Today I'm going to reveal 6 hidden signs of a foolish woman, blending Stoic wisdom with modern psychology, so you can spot the red flags before they cost you time, energy, and peace of mind. This isn't about shaming anyone. It's about giving you the clarity to protect your life, your growth, and your emotional well-being. Because here's the truth. Foolishness is magnetic, but in the wrong way. It draws you in with excitement and charm, only to leave chaos, drama, and regret in its wake. It's like a storm that seems thrilling from afar but destroys everything in its path once you're inside. And the moment you recognize it, really recognize it, you'll see clearly why some women, no matter how attractive or exciting, are simply not worth your energy. You'll never fall for it again. Sign 1. She confuses drama with passion. A woman who confuses drama with passion is often the hardest to spot at first, because she can be magnetic, exciting, and full of energy. On the surface it feels thrilling, the late-night texts, the highs and lows, the intense conversations. But beneath that excitement lies a dangerous trap. Emotional chaos masquerading as intimacy. She thrives on conflict and intensity, mistaking unpredictability for depth. Take Emily from London. She met Daniel at a cafe, and at first everything seemed perfect. She laughed at his jokes, listened when he spoke, and radiated energy. But within weeks, subtle patterns emerged. Emily would become unusually distant, then suddenly affectionate. A trivial disagreement, like Daniel suggesting a different restaurant, would trigger hours of back-and-forth texting filled with guilt-tripping and emotional theatrics. Public displays of affection or attention became tests of loyalty, rather than genuine expressions of connection. Daniel, a calm and introspective man, began to notice a pattern. Every time he reacted with patience or reason, Emily escalated the intensity. Every argument felt like a performance, and he realized that no level of thoughtfulness could stabilize the storm. This is exactly what Stoicism warns against, allowing external events to unbalance your inner world. A woman who mistakes drama for passion has not internalized this wisdom. She acts first and thinks rarely. Her emotional highs and lows are addictive in a chaotic way, but they are fundamentally unstable. The danger here is subtle. Drama feels exciting at first. You tell yourself, she's passionate, she feels deeply, but after weeks or months it becomes draining. Emotional instability erodes trust, connection, and mental energy. In reality, intensity is only attractive when it's grounded in self-awareness, reflection, and emotional control. Without those, passion is just noise. Notice the signs. Does she escalate trivial matters into crises? Does she test your patience for thrills rather than meaningful connection? If so, it's a warning. The Stoic man recognizes that true connection requires calm, reflection, and steady emotional presence. Drama may feel magnetic, but it's a magnet for chaos, not love. Sign 2. She speaks more than she thinks. Words are mirrors of the mind. Every statement, every comment, every opinion reveals how someone processes the world. A foolish woman often uses words not to communicate or understand, but to dominate, manipulate, or impress. She talks over others, offers unsolicited advice, or twists facts to suit her narrative. She doesn't pause to reflect. She speaks first, then thinks, and by that time damage is done. Sarah from New York is a prime example. She loved to share wisdom she read online, often contradicting facts, misquoting sources, or presenting her opinions as unshakable truths. At first, James, her boyfriend, was intrigued. He thought he was engaging with someone knowledgeable and articulate. But over time, he realized their conversations rarely went deeper than surface-level declarations. Every attempt at meaningful discussion was interrupted, diverted, or overshadowed by her need to be heard rather than understood. Stoicism teaches the power of reflection. Words should arise from thought, not impulse. Silence is not emptiness. It's a space where clarity, perspective, and depth are cultivated. A wise woman understands this. She listens before she speaks. She observes before reacting. Her words are intentional, considered, and purposeful. In contrast, a woman who speaks more than she thinks creates friction. Conversations feel exhausting rather than energizing. Truth becomes relative and connection is replaced by debate, manipulation, or ego battles. Over time, her words erode trust, frustrate patience, and make genuine intimacy nearly impossible. The warning signs are clear. Does she listen actively, or is she always waiting for her turn to speak? Does she engage thoughtfully, or does she dominate every discussion? Does she reflect on what she says, or does she treat conversation as a stage for performance? These subtle cues reveal far more about her wisdom than charm, beauty, or confidence ever could. A Stoic man values communication that builds understanding, not ego. A woman who speaks without thinking may seem exciting at first, but she slowly drains energy, complicates clarity, and turns simple interactions into exhausting battles. True connection is rare, and it only thrives when words are intentional, measured, and grounded in awareness. Sign 3. She lacks emotional ownership. One of the most dangerous signs of a foolish woman is her inability to take responsibility for her own emotions. Stoicism teaches us that the most valuable form of control is mastery over oneself. The inner world is where true freedom lies. A woman who externalizes her feelings, who blames the world for her unhappiness, or who excuses destructive behavior is essentially refusing to navigate her own mind. And when she cannot manage herself, she projects the chaos onto everyone around her. Take Olivia from Toronto. She often claimed to be misunderstood in her relationships, but a closer look revealed a pattern. When conflicts arose, she never asked, "Did I contribute to this?" Instead, she pointed fingers, blamed her partner, or turned small disagreements into moral failures for the other person. She constantly complained that her boyfriend, Michael, didn't get her, yet she never reflected on how her own words, actions, or choices impacted the relationship. This is more than immaturity. It's a fundamental inability to co-create stability. Emotional irresponsibility kills trust. You can forgive a single mistake, but you cannot forgive the persistent inability to own your inner world. If a woman cannot regulate her feelings, every interaction becomes unpredictable, exhausting, and draining. The subtle signals are easy to miss, yet profoundly revealing. Does she apologize only when cornered? Does she deflect blame instead of reflecting? Does she insist that her feelings are always justified, even when logic and fairness suggest otherwise? These behaviors speak louder than beauty, charm, or social grace. They reveal her capacity or incapacity for maturity. A Stoic man values calm, accountability, and emotional reliability. Being around someone who refuses to own their emotions is like building a house on sand. No matter how beautiful it appears, it will collapse under pressure. Emotional ownership isn't glamorous. It's invisible, yet it is the backbone of meaningful relationships. Recognizing this early protects your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. Sign 4. She measures life with vanity, not values. Another sign of a foolish woman is her obsession with appearances over substance. Vanity, unlike beauty, is performative. It measures life by external applause rather than inner growth. A woman who judges her worth and the world around her by likes, followers, social approval, or superficial achievements is living externally, not internally. She confuses image for identity and optics for reality. Take Lucy from Sydney. She meticulously curated her life on Instagram, posting the perfect brunch, the ideal vacation, the flawless outfit, but behind the filter there was stagnation. She neglected real-world growth, avoided meaningful friendships, and resisted personal development that couldn't be displayed online. Her choices were dictated not by wisdom, curiosity, or values, but by how others might perceive them. This obsession with vanity is subtle but corrosive. It creates a life that looks successful from the outside but is hollow from the inside. A wise woman, by contrast, invests in knowledge, integrity, and authenticity. She understands that the long game of life, growth, resilience, relationships, self-discipline cannot be measured in likes, applause, or fleeting admiration. Vanity also distorts priorities. When your partner's decisions are motivated by appearance rather than substance, it becomes impossible to build a stable, meaningful connection. Conversations are shallow, actions are performative, and values are negotiable depending on the audience. A Stoic man recognizes the difference immediately. Substance sustains connection. Appearance only entertains it temporarily. Look for subtle cues. Does she constantly post or talk about how others see her? Does she choose experiences for optics rather than growth? Does she prioritize admiration over authenticity? These patterns reveal far more than charm or beauty ever could. True wisdom isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and invisible. A woman who measures life by values rather than vanity embodies stability, growth, and depth. One who does the opposite may appear dazzling at first, but over time she drains energy, distracts from progress, and creates a life built on illusions. Recognizing this difference is one of the most powerful forms of self-protection a man can have. Sign 5. She confuses comfort with strength. One of the most subtle yet destructive forms of foolishness is a woman who confuses comfort with strength. At first glance, it might seem harmless. She wants a smooth life, a partner who cushions her from stress, and friends who agree with everything she says. But beneath this desire for ease lies a refusal to face life's natural challenges. And over time, this avoidance creates dependency, stagnation, and frustration. Take Michael from Los Angeles. He once dated a woman who seemed pleasant and charming at first, someone who laughed easily and shared his interests. But as soon as challenges arose, a financial setback, a scheduling conflict, or even a minor disagreement, she crumbled. Instead of finding solutions, she whined, complained, or expected Michael to fix everything for her. She sought validation constantly, not because she was insecure, but because she believed life's friction should always be smoothed out by someone else. Comfort became her default, and growth never entered the equation. Stoicism teaches a very different approach. True strength comes not from avoidance, but from facing adversity with composure, reflection, and resilience. A woman who embraces life's challenges, who wrestles with discomfort instead of fleeing from it, demonstrates inner strength and wisdom. She doesn't need validation to survive emotionally because she has cultivated her own inner resources. The danger of confusing comfort with strength is that it subtly erodes a relationship. A man who invests in someone, emotionally dependent or conflict averse, may initially feel appreciated, but over time he will feel drained. She will not challenge him, she will not grow with him, and she will rely on his energy to maintain her illusion of stability. Ask yourself, does she shy away from problems or face them? Does she seek growth or does she cling to ease? A woman who prioritizes comfort over resilience may seem harmless, but in reality she creates stagnation, both in her life and in yours. Recognizing this early is not cynicism, it's practical wisdom. A Stoic man understands that true connection comes from shared strength, not mutual dependency. Sign 6, she treats wisdom as a threat. The final sign is often the hardest to spot, yet it's one of the most damaging. A woman who treats wisdom as a threat. This is subtle. She might appear charming, intelligent, or sophisticated, but the moment you express self-discipline, intellectual curiosity, or philosophical insight, she reacts defensively, mocks your perspective, or belittles your knowledge. Her hostility toward wisdom is a silent poison, eroding trust, stability, and growth over time. Consider Sarah from Manhattan. She dated a man who valued reading, reflection, and self-improvement. Whenever he suggested a book, shared a Stoic principle, or tried to explain a life lesson he had learned, Sarah would scoff. Instead of curiosity or engagement, there was ridicule. Instead of dialogue, there was dismissal. At first it felt minor and a joke here, a sarcastic remark there, but gradually it became clear. Sarah perceived wisdom as a threat to her ego and autonomy. Why is this so dangerous? A woman who resents knowledge, reflection, or self-discipline cannot be a true partner in growth. She will subtly undermine decisions, challenge stability, and make you doubt your own judgment. Over time, what seems like minor friction becomes a pattern of emotional erosion. You start questioning your principles, your discipline, and even your sense of direction, because the environment she creates punishes growth rather than nurtures it. Stoicism teaches that a wise partner enhances your strength, complements your growth, and contributes to a shared life of virtue. A foolish woman who sees wisdom as a threat does the opposite. She drains energy, mocks effort, and destabilizes connection. The subtle warning signs are easy to miss. Sarcastic comments about books, dismissive jokes about self-improvement, or irritation when you practice discipline. Recognizing this early is crucial. Once invested in such a dynamic, leaving becomes exponentially harder because emotional attachment clouds judgment. A Stoic man understands that wisdom is a rare form of wealth, and anyone who treats it as a threat is unlikely to ever be a true partner. Choosing carefully and identifying this hostility early protects not only your time but your mental clarity, self-discipline, and emotional stability. Conclusion. These 6 signs are far more than simple dating advice. They are a Stoic lens on human behavior, a way to observe the world clearly without being blinded by charm, beauty, or surface-level excitement. Wisdom is rare, truly rare, and foolishness, as subtle as it is magnetic. It draws you in, masks itself as passion or fun, and then slowly drains your energy, your clarity, and your peace of mind. Most men never see it coming until it's too late, until weeks, months, or even years of effort have been invested in someone who cannot co-create a meaningful life. Think about it. It's easy to fall for someone who laughs easily, who seems exciting, or who mirrors the energy you crave. But attraction without depth is like a firework, brilliant for a moment, but gone before you realize it. A wise woman, in contrast, complements your calm. She adds value without demanding control. She supports growth, challenges you in ways that build rather than break, and prizes substance over spectacle. She is rare because she invests in herself and in the relationship equally. A foolish woman, on the other hand, is exhausting in subtle ways. She distracts you from your goals, destabilizes your emotional state, and gradually teaches you to compromise your standards. She may be beautiful, witty, or charming, but charm without wisdom is nothing more than a hollow echo. Recognizing this difference is not cynicism. It is mastery of your time, energy, focus, and emotional life. Next time you meet someone, don't be in a rush to label attraction as love, chemistry, or passion. Pause, observe, listen, reflect. Notice whether her words, actions, and reactions align with wisdom, patience, and calmness, or whether they are rooted in drama, vanity, or avoidance of responsibility. In a world addicted to appearances and surface-level validation, the quiet signals of intelligence, maturity, and Stoic composure are treasures that are too often overlooked. When you start seeing these patterns clearly, you'll begin to protect your peace. You'll stop chasing illusions and start investing in connections that matter, connections that encourage growth, stability, and mutual respect. This is not about judgment. It's about clarity, discernment, and living a life of intentionality. So remember, the next time you meet someone, look beyond the charm, the beauty, and the energy. Focus on depth, wisdom, and emotional integrity. These are the qualities that sustain connection, build trust, and create real love. And once you internalize this perspective, foolishness will no longer catch you by surprise. You'll navigate relationships with calm, clarity, and purpose. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.